something to say. Welcome back, everybody. We have a very interesting guest today. She is a mother of two, just had a baby recently. She's going to be doing the comeback of going from motherland to stageland. Now, it does sound like you've heard it before, but her approach and where she came from and how she got to where she is today is very unique. So let's all say hey to Angel. What up, Angel? How are you?
Hey, Nate. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. She told me before that her closest friends call her Angel. So anybody that sees this podcast, whether you're listening or whether you're watching, hit her up. Say, what's up, Angel? I heard. And she is very open to talk about whatever else. So when you guys get her socials, if you want to ask more questions, ask away. She's super kind that way. She has that yoga mentality where I'm pretty sure at some point just go into some sort of yoga stretch. But let's have some fun because it's going to be a little different because we're going to do an interview while she works out because, again, being a mother of two, it's time is of the essence. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and how you got stuck in this situation?
Well, Nate, I'm out in Kelowna, so my family all lives out here. We decided that we're going to take the crew out to Kelowna, so the workouts don't stop. So I decided to call you and say, let's put two things together, like an interview and a workout. And so, yeah, that's kind of being able to be adaptable and, yeah, finding a way to still fit my goals in on the road or whether I'm at home busy. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people, like, I threw out so many times on my check-ins, and people are, they have this idea, oh, I'm going to be going on a holiday, and they just basically just let it all go, and they don't realize that if you have a goal in the mirror or a goal in for performance, whether you take time off to go on a holiday or not, you still got to work. Like, you're in Kelowna, and now we have a nice little home gym set up in the background. You have your little program sheet and stuff like that, and I think that's the biggest difference. And would you agree that's the biggest difference on somebody that has a championship mentality versus someone that just does it for fun?
Absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
it's
no longer just a need to do. It's an essential. Like, you're learning, throughout this whole period of like isolation or COVID, is like learning that it doesn't matter where you are, your goals don't really have to change. It's more about changing your mentality and shifting that. So yeah, that's exactly where I'm at.
Now, how old is your newborn? Because people are going to say, oh, well, her kid could be like 10 years old, so that's easy.
So I have a 2.5-year-old. Well, he turns 3 in October, so he's almost 3. And my newborn is 7 weeks this week.
7 weeks this week. Wow. Okay, so 2 kids, and now you're already doing the comeback. So what was a second pregnancy? What was different? Was it easier? Was it harder? Also, for your body to rebound from birth to now 7 weeks out, what kind of challenges, or is your body basically, okay, baby's out, it's time to get fit again?
Well, me and you had connected after I had my son Enzo. So that was actually postpartum the first time. And that was kind of about a year after my son. So at that point, I had already kind of started from a different place. So I feel like when we worked through this pregnancy all the way, even up to like 22 weeks, I think we were in the gym together still. I just felt like my base that I had built structurally was way more sound. And so the biggest thing was remembering that the basics that he brought me to at the beginning, and then just recognizing that I need to reach out to the people that are my allies or my support system, and making sure that, again, that it's not just a want to do thing, it's an essential. So yeah, just making sure that I have those connections and staying true to what my end term goal is. And so yeah, it was actually easier this time around, I found, because I already knew who I was going to reach out to postpartum. So having a girlfriend of mine, Rashina, who I see also, she's a post athlete as well. She's a track athlete, so she kind of gets that mentality of not giving up, or letting that go to the side. Is like, it's still a priority, is like myself and my health and my wellness. So yeah, it's been a journey, but not as challenging as I thought it was going to be with the support of some good people around me.
Now, with this interview that we're going to be doing, are you ready for this? Because, I mean, I am going to be talking to you during the exercise, and I have a stopwatch over here on one of the monitors, and we're going to go for 2 minutes of exercise and then 2 minutes of more questions. But it's just going to be more or less, because, again, if we were going to do a 40-minute workout, I don't know how many words you would get out. And some topics we're going to need some focus. So it's going to be neat to see how you can keep your focus and how many times you're going to be like, what was that question again? Like, what was it? So 2 minutes of hell-ish coming in. We're going to start with stuff that's super, super simple. So to start it off, we're going to start off with 20 jump squats. Then we're going to start off with 10 stationary lunges per leg. And stay tuned for further instruction. So to make it simple, let's change it up. 30 seconds jump squats, 30 seconds alternating lunges. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, and don't forget, I will be asking you questions while we do this. And begin. We're just going to let her get to maximum velocity here, so a little higher. Good. So, yeah, she's 7 weeks. We talked about things that she can and cannot do. She has been training previous to this, and I want to make sure everyone knows before you start an exercise program, especially after having a baby, make sure you get the clearance from your doctor and start progressively slow. Don't just jump into this workout we're about to do. 30 seconds, alternating 30 seconds, alternating lunges. Do not start this without consulting a doctor. And again, progressive overload is ideal. So now that we got this out of the way, what did you do growing up? Were you always kind of an athlete, or what was the idea of all of a sudden changing a lifestyle from what you were to stage? So who were you growing up?
Soccer. That was my life. Yeah, I played soccer full time.
Rest, squat and hold. So soccer, I mean, recreational soccer, did you make it to high level? You know, were you a weekend warrior? So what kind of soccer player were you?
Well, I ended up playing for the University of Buffalo on a full-ride soccer scholarship. So that was a huge accomplishment. But growing up, I played Alberta soccer my whole life, club soccer. Coaching.
Speed skaters, 30 seconds, speed skaters.
Yeah, coaching and being refereeing, so just a part of the game, loving every aspect. Yeah, so went to college and then decided that when I got home that I wanted to put my energy and focus into something that was a lot more personalized and customized, just recognizing that you're no longer
and relax. 2 minute break. Now, you don't have to sit down. You don't have to sit down. You can keep walking around and fit, you know, if you want to recover that way. So yeah, what was that like? Like, you have the University of Buffalo, then you come, you know, even looking at Calgary, the two totally, like, what's the biggest difference between a USA campus and, let's say, a Canadian campus, or even the feel of how athletes are treated in the USA? Where, like, were you just kind of like, oh, who's that? Or were you popular?
Well, the vibe and the energy there is like, when you play on a sports team, it's like their religion. So it was really like engaging, and we had a lot of local fans, and for us it was all about the community and the camaraderie. So yeah, for me, I find like when I look for people that I connect with, is although this program and going back to the stage and doing things on my own, I always kind of revert back to all the values and things that I learned along the way, and most of those came from some of the people that I met too down there. So yeah, it wasn't just about on court or on field stuff. A lot of it was stuff that you learned outside of just connecting with people. And yeah.
Ooh, she's trying to breathe, trying to answer. That has got to be difficult, where you're trying to control your breathing, answer a question, and still know you have 25 seconds till we're going to do some lateral raises. But so, I mean, you're also heavily into yoga. How did all that start?
That was actually what really connected me to the individuality of doing things on your own. So when I first came home from school, I started working for Lululemon, and their community is highly focused around yoga.
Dumbbell side raises. Don't worry. I remember where we are. Lululemon.
I run.
All right. And begin. We're going to go 30 seconds. So continue on about Lululemon.
Yeah. So just having the direction and the guidance from such a big company that supported individual people's vision. It was, so I lived downtown right behind, at the time it was, what would it have been?
Now you got to remember while you work.
It's Trolley 5 now. So back in the day, I don't know what it would have been, but I lived right off of 17th, walked to 4th Street. It was kind of just one of those really new opportunities to kind of settle into what my new
and then
routine
front raises.
Yeah, so I took on the community pillar at 4th Street, and that's highly focused around getting new yoga teachers into the community and having them teach our yoga classes. And that was a big part of kind of getting connected beyond just selling stretchy yoga pants, like everyone always says. It's
stationary squats.
So, always trying to find a way to stay connected or finding a way to create opportunities, obviously not within an organization, but also what I can take with me. And that's what I feel like. I feel blessed coming into
lateral
this part
raise.
of motherhood is.
There you go. Perfect. And then so now, you're into yoga, you're into soccer, you're into sports. Now with your kids growing up, is it something that you're going to you expose them to, or, is it something that they're pretty much going to have to say, hey, you know what, your mom did yoga, so now you have to do yoga? So is it going to become a yoga family, or is it kind of, they have the free reign? You just hope they do something athletic.
For us, it's all about routine. So we don't really care, me and my partner, what they do. It's more or less the energy in which they do it, and the tension and the focus. So no, my husband's a tennis coach, and I have obviously a soccer background, and there's no need for us to feel like they have to walk in either of our shoes. We just feel like at the end of the day, we really want them to be like goal orientated, driven, and just hardworking. So we have him on right now with my oldest son. We have him on court probably about formally once a week. So he plays tennis, loves hockey, and kind of all around he plays golf. And so for us, it's just exposing them to that wide range of versatility. We don't really
got 1 minute left. Enjoy it. Wait a minute. I'm going to argue a little bit. So your husband's a tennis pro. You went to university to play soccer, and basically it's the ideal super couple come together and create 2 kids. There's no way that one of the kids are not going to have to go into the parent's shoes and have to one-up them. It's just, I don't know about genetics, but if you have one pro athlete and you have another one that went to university, let's call it, pro as far as I'm concerned, that's just some pretty good genetics saying there's a good chance they might be able to make something out of something. I don't know. All right, well, I'm going to wait and see, because what's on the internet is forever. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to look back when the kids 15, 16, maybe I'll set a Google reminder, and then I'll be like, oh, you remember when?
Well, Enzo, his mentality is already like, he's got that, you think you can do that? Well, I can do it better. So if he chooses that he wants to, that's all, by all means. But I honestly am starting to, and I think that's where the yoga comes from, is the idea that what I experience is not necessarily going to be what he experienced. And learning
now we're going to go
see.
Arm curl press. Arm curl press.
Okay, I'm going to switch up. Wait.
Oh, yeah. Getting serious. There we go. Yeah, and so Now getting into yoga and athleticism with nutrition leading into, yoga or when you're playing soccer, what was kind of the nutrition like? Like I remember when I was playing sports when I was younger, and it was pretty much, I remember what you could get your hands on, you would eat. So, Kraft dinner was on sale. You eat a box of Kraft dinner. You're like, oh, all the magazines say I need protein. So I get a can of tuna, put the can of tuna in the Kraft dinner and eat it and stuff like that. So what was nutrition to you, or how was it explained to you leading up to, and then squat side raise leading up to in sports? Was it important, or they just said, make sure you eat enough?
Well, for us, it was the dining hall. So whatever the dining hall was offering, it was what we ate. And so when they talk about the freshman 15, that's real, right? Like they're not only making meals for athletes, right? They're for the regular folks. So for us, when we got into junior year, when we were off campus, it really started to click in that
squat press. 45 seconds to your next break, so you can slow it down a little bit. And then same thing with yoga. Like yoga has to do a lot of with centering yourself, being balanced. Was nutrition a part of it, or was it more of just the body-mind connection?
That was all of it. The nutrition is when it really clicked, is when I became a yogi, is when I started practicing and understanding energy systems in and out. I just
squat and hold.
Really started to recognize that nobody wants to practice vinyasa yoga with a stomach full of junk. So yeah, we started to really investigate certain things that weren't working with my body. So actually, when I first met you, I had a really mindset of, oh, I can't eat this.
And rest.
I can't eat that. And, I think that was the biggest thing for me to break was that, exactly. The fact that you would always encourage more food and healthy foods. But for me, it was, when I was an athlete, I always thought, what do I need to fuel my body? And so a lot of the time I wasn't recognizing in everyday lifestyle just how much you need to sustain a good and healthy foundation, just like we had kind of started out. So yeah, you had brought me back to the basics, and nutrition was the biggest thing, because I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of our workouts, it was, everything felt like it was pulling, and nothing felt like it was clicking. And that was all the lack of calories and the lack of dense nutrition. So you had gotten me on a new program. And I think after my body started to recognize and learn to digest without the negative self-talk of, oh, you don't need that, or, you're not doing enough work to deserve that amount of food. Those were kind of the conversations that I was having with myself. So to know that at least once a week when I'd see you, it was like a check-in for me to say, no, I am doing the work. Kind of getting me back into that ruthless mentality that I had when I was an athlete. And so that's the thing that I think I am starting to re-foster again, is that it doesn't have to necessarily be directed towards
15 seconds.
A sport. Rather, it can just be more or less a lifestyle thing that sustains giving to others. So I have
stationary cross lunges.
So I have an opportunity to be present and energetic with my kids. My partner works a pretty, his schedule is all over the place, being around a lot of the athletes' schedule. So it's not it's not 9 to 5. So being able to have enough energy to be up until 9 p.m. and want to actually have things to create a more fulfilling lifestyle. So yeah, it's giving me back more than I imagined.
Alternating bicep curls. And that's where too, like if you take a look and take a step back and kind of look into the certain paradigm shifts you've had, like if you look in soccer, performance, and you're eating as much as you can, and you're at the surplus, like you said, the freshman 15, where your body was getting more than enough of what it needed, but your performance was also not hindered. It was probably excelled. Now, could you fine tune that a little bit and perform better? Sure. But then you go to the yoga where it's more about balance and eating nutritious, dense foods. And it's not about necessarily performance than it is about health and making sure your body has what it needs. Squats. So, and then now which we'll talk into now, you went into another paradigm what had to do with competing. And, like you said, it went from a yoga mentality. Then we started coaching, getting you ready for a show. And now you kind of went back to, okay, it's a mix of both. I try to keep you healthy, burn calories, not your soul, but we have to make sure you can perform to keep up to the workout, but yet look better in the mirror. So it's kind of like a catch-22 of doing, oh, hello, rear flies, of doing all three. So I can understand how it's a paradigm shift, but now that you've had your second child, you're kind of working on your nutrition and going forth, do you find that you're pushing more towards the yoga mentality or more of kind of pushing towards performance for food, like food is fuel?
Performance for food all day. Yeah. Just with the demand that my life is right now, and I'm breastfeeding. So breastfeeding is a wild beast. So you're up through the night, you're kind of around their schedule, which is, again, I'm all about nutrition and what you're giving your child. So at the end of the day, I feel like I wouldn't ever want to compensate, my time. So again, I want to have to think about, okay, I need to be up in the middle of the night. What am I eating to be able to provide enough energy for this little being? So it's, like you said, it's definitely performance, because my mother texts me and says, how are things? And what I say is, it's either you sink or you swim, and I'm a swimmer, so you figure it out. It's interesting.
And so now let's talk about the show. Where did that idea come from, where now you're going to be in the spotlight, which you used to with sports, but now it has nothing to do with what you can or can't do. It has nothing to do with being able to hold a pose perfectly. It is basically how you look at that day, at that time, and it's like nothing that you've ever experienced before. What was it like stepping on stage, and where did that idea come from?
Well, you know what my organization was, like it is even up to today. As much as I can give an effort to organization and being A-type, I'm totally not A-type. So you remember when you're texting me, are you coming? You guys were doing the stage, the walkouts and the, what was it? Like
the camp. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, where are you? And my car to go with it. And I had a car to go. Like, so many factors that I just, I really just did it at the end of the day, because I had always seen the WBFF brand, and it was something that, it was like a dream. It was like, wow, a Victoria's Secret show, but with girls with muscle. They were beautiful, glamorous. And so I always thought it was like kind of a far shot off of being something that I would love to do, but I kind of put it in the back of my mind at that point.
You're going to need the Bosu next. You're going to need the Bosu. While you're talking, grab the Bosu. We're going to do one-legged squats. Have the round part up, so the flat part against the floor.
So when you had mentioned to me that on this side, Nate?
Perfect. Yeah, right there is perfect. Okay.
So one-legged?
Yeah, so stand on it one-legged. Right up. Stand right up on it. That back foot is not going to touch. Oh, yeah, you're going to weeble and wobble a little bit. Let's see how you can answer while you're trying to balance. Nice. So, yeah, so you were getting ready for the camp. You're getting ready for the WBFF. Now, you had to learn a lot of new skills. And now the one skill, I'm going to let you disclose how much you tell about it, but what was the hardest part of getting ready to step on stage for you?
Posing.
and it's super. And then switch legs. We're going to go 30 seconds per leg. And now posing is one of the hardest things you can do, because it's not a natural movement where when you're posing, you're trying to hide your flaws, because everybody has them, and you're trying to portray yourself as though you're perfect. And nowhere, like guys, I guess, walk around with their lats out, or, they're always flexing and stuff. But for women to pose, especially before stage, wow. Like, was there a couple times where you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this. This is absolutely crazy. Or was it something you just kind of digested, loved, and then we're going to go squats on the Bosu?
Well, you remember my tactic was, I'm not doing it. I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it. So every week I would see you, I'd flip-flop from this idea of doing it, not doing it. And this was probably like April when they had released the dates. We had kind of talked about it like very vaguely. And comes June, shows June 22nd. I had said to you,
push-ups on the Bosu. 20 seconds of push-ups with your hands on the Bosu.
I said, Nate, I signed up. You're like, what? I said, I did it. I just signed up. So that's me. One night I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I spontaneously was at home one evening and I said, enough talk. It was Sunday night and we had a Monday training session. And I said, let's just do it. So we signed up. Me and my partner.
And relax.
And from that point on, it was kind of, like I said, sink or swim. And I kind of just embraced all the things. I didn't have a suit. We didn't know what division we were going to put me in. I didn't have a dress or team wear if I was going to do fitness. So it was definitely something that was, I feel, the most spontaneous adventure that I've taken on since college. And I think that's what reawakened this desire and this drive to want to be better. And I don't have a show date right now that I, going to step on stage, but at the same time, it's giving me that mentality back and that focus. And so I find that when we talk about essentials, it's like we talked too, it's like not just stage focus, but how Domin8 is shifting their focus to being more of lifestyle focus. And I think that's the most, for me, the most attractive thing, because I feel like it allows for me to incorporate who I want to be.
You got 40
outside
seconds.
of getting ready for the show and all the vanity things that obviously make the show beautiful. But I think the kind of things that I'm attracted to are the behind the scenes grittier things. Yep. And I think that was what was so reluctant of me doing a show in the beginning, was the fact that I wanted it to be about the work. Yep. And you kind of guided me to show me that, okay, the posing isn't going to be 100%, but your presence and what you can offer that day is what you already have. And so I felt like that was the confidence that I needed, that whether I placed first, fourth, it didn't matter. It was more about knowing that if I wanted to
squats,
make the choice.
No, plie. So wide stance, toes out, and then just squat. Yep.
Yeah. So if I just wanted to make the choice to do something that I can and have that I can do mentality, which I totally had when I was playing college sports. I think that was the most desirable thing about myself, was anyone who asked me, do you want to do this, or let's go do this? It was like, yeah, adventure. It was always a yes. And when I came home, there was a little bit of an identity thing there where I didn't know where to draw that energy or what to put it into.
Squat and hold.
And to recognize that.
And then go on your tippy toes. Yep. And balance. There we go. Stability. Nice.
Yeah. So.
Now going into the show, and we're going to get into a little bit more of the mentality and keeping balance, but now you've done your first show. There's talk of your second show. The show was fantastic. You received your pro status, your first kick out of the boot, which is fantastic. But behind the scenes, what was one thing you're like, oh my God, that was so much fun? And then what was one thing you're like, I was not prepared for that? And then plie squats. Oh, this is a tough one.
I got this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I got this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't have it because this is your question, so you take it.
No, you got it.
You got it.
So I think the biggest thing is we kind of touched on it at the beginning, is who you draw on as your ally. You know what I mean? When you're doing something like that, to have most of your attention obviously on yourself
And hold.
and directing it towards something so big. Well, to you in that time, it's very big. I felt like it was more
And
of a
rest.
selfish. It felt like a selfish thing at the time until you come around the bend and you start to understand the bigger picture. You know what I mean? And so that was the biggest thing, is drawing on your allies and recognizing that you do deserve that time, or you can make it all work. And for me, it was letting go of the excuses of, when am I going to make it happen? Do I deserve this time? All those kind of negative self-talk. And I started to adapt and adjust my schedule so that before I could sit around and think about it, I was just doing it and putting myself into that routine again. And it was like jump starting an engine. It wasn't ever, there was never something wrong with it. It just needed to be worked through. And there's not, you can't pay for therapy that you can figure out, you know what I mean, on your mat or in the gym or at home within your own space, that you can tap into. Even hiking, like with your family, taking it outdoors, like I've recognized that tuning negativity out so that you can be present to the moment, to reality, is far more powerful than just, I don't know, sitting around and talking about it. It's like,
Yep.
you got to
Oh,
really
yeah.
do it.
Yeah, there's talkers, and then there's talkers and doers. And I find there's a lot of talkers, and you had to wear a lot of hats. Because if you think about it, like, you nailed it there, where you're getting ready for a show. The show is all about you. It is one of the most selfish things, because it is all about you. The judges are looking at you. People get in this mentality where they get the blinders that if it doesn't deal with themselves, they don't want to deal with it. And that's common with prep. But then if you look at it, you're getting ready for a prep. And then as soon as you're done the gym, you're done your meal prep, then all of a sudden, okay, wow, I have my little boy to take care of. And then your little boy to take care of, and like, oh, I'm also, I'm in a relationship. I have my partner. So it was almost like you had to flash back and forth. Okay, this is my selfish time. This was my family time. This was selfish time. How did you kind of accomplish that? Was it something structured, or just happened natural?
For me, it was honestly my athletes at the tennis academy. I'm a strength and conditioning coach at the academy that my husband is the high performance director for. And that was the by far biggest thing, is the commitment to them, is knowing that, okay, it was one thing to do it for myself, getting up early, training, getting in the food before I could be a parent. But the second part was, okay, well, I need to make an income, because at the end of the day, it's not so much about, I feel like for me, is having, just making ends meet. It's just having the opportunity to say yes. And
Yeah.
so my partner and I decided that I will go back to work. I didn't take a formal mat leave, even from Lululemon. I did what's called expediting. It's like the back of house stuff. So I would go in from 8 to midnight and fit
Step
in
ups.
my schedule. I'm going to use this thing. So yeah, I would find the time that I no longer felt the mom guilt or shame of being away. I was working and providing, opportunities for my family and for myself that didn't have to stop because of motherhood, or those types of breaking through barriers mentally. And so yeah, Lululemon really provided a space that I could nurse my son, literally feed him, take off for 7:45 because we live really close to the store, just to be practical with our
Bench dips.
time. And yeah, I would come home for the midnight feed and we'd all go to bed. And so I found a way to make it work. And again, that was the part that I was really drawn to, again, is like the yes, saying yes.
That's huge. You're nailing it, where there's so much negativity out of there. And even if you listen to your answers, that even you have a problem even saying something about a bad experience, because you always look for the positive out of it. You know, whether even if you don't like it, you learn something you don't like. If something didn't go well, then you learn, okay, and rest, you learn, okay, I didn't like that, but maybe I could do better. Where it seems it's more like a reflection, where how you think about problems, some issues, versus just hanging on to them and using them as an excuse not to be productive. You get a rest, by the way.
Oh, yay.
Yep. So is that kind of am I catching on to what people say about you? Is that you're kind of the lemonade of the world, or are we just is there once in a while you're like, hey, you know what? Forget the world, bah humbug. I'm having a me day and leave me alone.
That's normal. I think that's normal. Yeah, no, my mom is an angel. She's the woman I think that I can compartmentalize the most with. You know, she's the biggest believer of the silver lining and finding the bigger picture of small situations. And through motherhood, it's interesting. Like, I was almost scared coming home from college to reconnect with her, because at the time I didn't have much to offer her, I thought I was an athlete. I traveled on the road with her. She was a bench mom on my whole soccer career. And so for me, it was a lot of shame around that too. It was like, identity, what am I going to do now, right? And so my mom has been somebody who I can have a bad day with, I can celebrate with. You know, she's like an old wives. She'll tell, you know, stories so that it's not like a yes no, it's wisdom of learning through my ancestors. Actually, she'll go back to people that, and it's so, that's I think the most enchanting and like magnificent thing about my life, and tapping into who I am beyond motherhood or my partner is, I have a lot of positivity around me, and I just think the biggest thing was recognizing again who to go to. And yeah, my mom is definitely the one that if I need anything, I resort to kind of checking in with her. And so yeah, that's the biggest thing, is recognizing, like she always says, the silver lining, or the moral lesson of a situation. It was never, don't do this, don't do that. She always kind of just let us learn, hit through falling. And it was fun.
Oh yeah. I
You know?
remember still same thing. Like I remember one time I was in Barbados and we're with the family. Oh, you're going to do prisoner lunges. Let's see if you remember what that is. That's drop down to like knee, foot. So drop down to one knee, two knees, and then one foot. Perfect. Just like that. And I remember like there was a pepper tree in the back of my grand's yard in Barbados. And I was very curious as a kid. And my mom was always like, no. My dad's like, let him touch it. He'll learn that it's spicy. And so what do? I'm playing with the peppers. And then I put my fingers in my mouth. It was hot. Then I put my fingers in my eyes, and my eyes were burning. And then, you know, of course, you know, parents, they take over at that point. But then I asked, I'm like, did I ever touch that pepper tree? They're like, you would not go close to it. And they said, if you're going to do something that you could hurt yourself, yeah. But he goes, stuff like that. You know, it's neat where, you know, as parents are growing up, you have some parents that are, I think they call them helicopter parents.
Yeah, that's
and then, you know, they take, I just heard that one not long ago. And they're like, no. And then there's other ones like, go experience life. We'll be here to support you. So it's kind of neat where there's two different kind of personas to it. Now, are you kind of more of like how your mom was, or do you have a little copter coming out? Because life is a little different right now. And then squats, air squats.
I think I have a good balance with me and my partner of kind of live and learn and being cautious of, you know, life isn't exactly how it used to be, but recognizing that we want to keep them innocent and we want to keep it fun for them. And yeah, so I think it's a good balance between, you know, letting them be free range, but also recognizing that there are boundaries and there's limits.
Yep.
So yeah, it's fun learning through them, because a lot of the time,
squats to the bench.
Oh, to the bench. Yeah, a lot of the time you catch yourself through your fears.
Yep.
And not projecting that onto them.
So I'm going to ask you for some tips. I mean, you have a great head on your shoulders. You have a nice balance where, like you said, once in a while you're like, but everybody's that way. for mothers that are just having their first child, or now that mothers have two children, multiple children, two or more, what are some tips about finding that balance of being a mom, taking care of yourself, and still being in a relationship? Like, what are kind of some things what are kind of things that you do to keep that balance? And bench dips?
One thing that we always remind each other, me and my partner, Mark, is that we need to be each other's cheerleaders. So a lot of time you can get caught up in the negativity of a busy schedule. And it's, again, encouraging the people around you to be a cheerleader. But the bigger thing is being a cheerleader for yourself and advocating for the things that you truly need. So you're killing me, Nate.
The good news is that's your last 2 minutes stop. So we're done the exercise part. So you can just worry about catching your breath and answering the questions. You got each other as cheerleaders.
This is where I try to keep it together.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So it's been good. Is that I'm learning through this is that I function the best through output and work. I like to give. And at the same time, recognizing, where it is time to receive and not to deplete. But as mothers and as humans, we have so much to give. And I think that's the most powerful thing is that when you give yourself time for something delicious like this is like, it gives back tenfold. You know what I mean? You just have so much more time and energy for things that, make you thrive. And it's
kind of like a healthy body, healthy mind kind of thing. Like if you're, I find like when I'm in better shape, I'm more excited to get more things done. Now, when COVID hit and I didn't touch a weight for 4 months, I was still productive, but I wasn't getting that feeling of excitement for my next project. Yeah, I would get it done. The quality would be good. But now, working out more, exercising more cardio. Now, when it comes for me to attack a task, there's almost like more energy goes into it. And I'm not relying on raw talent or, basically instinct. It's now you're getting more aggressive. Do you find that too? Like when you're exercising more active, it's just your healthier mindset with everything you do.
Absolutely. Like to me is energy is creativity. You know what I mean? And so understanding how to harness and if you need to harvest energy, it's like, and that's where the yoga practice has been a blessing for me is like, it's almost like church. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like going and doing those cleansing rituals so that you can it's your Sunday catch up, you know what I mean? Where you're really doing the deep clean, you're looking things directly in the face, you know what I mean? Seeing it for what it is when we all know what a busy work week can look like or a week can look like. And you get caught up in like, I think kind of task managing and thinking what can be prioritized. And so, the biggest thing is recognizing that drawing your energy and by drawing it in, you get more out.
And that's huge. Like it's just even for me an outlet of working out. If I have something that's bothering me or I'm trying to come up with a problem solve, I find a lot of my creativity comes from when I'm exercising or post. The endorphins are rushing. You have that negative stress that pent up. Like even Fiji, my pit bull, is if she's inside too much, she starts getting antsy and starts getting agitated, and she doesn't want to listen. So then once in a while, we'll give her a dog toy and just let her absolutely destroy it to smithereens. If it's raining, or you take her for a run and some exercise, and she's like, And I said, humans are the same. Is if we don't get out, we don't get that outlet of, being able to de-stress and digest what's going on. A 1 in any day's normal will be a 10 if you're already half stressed. But a 1 on a relaxed body and a person that's active, it stays a 1. So it's very, very important. And look at you. I knew you'd do some stretches. So it's it is very, very important to get that outlet. And, with clients and, whether you meditate, whether it's yoga, exercise, whatever you do, that helps you get that outlet is very, very important. And it's clutch,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Being unapologetic sometimes, you know what I mean? In your pursuit, there's being so laser focused that at the end of the day, people start to recognize why. You know what I mean? You don't need to always explain. I feel like there's so much talk about it, and I like being a doer, and that's
Yep.
the biggest thing again, is about kind of showing up and, I don't know, having that opportunity to say yes because you have filled up yourself. It sounds, yeah, it sounds selfish, but when you start to encourage other people in your life to do the things that make you feel good, you start to see how they feel good, and it's a trickle effect, right? It's like,
Yep.
and that's where the personal training came in for me, was starting to recognize that it was fun to be around people, but it's also really rewarding to be around one-on-one, or semi-private, where people can start to break down some of their fears or some of their, I don't know, what holds them back, right?
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing, finding what holds you back. You know what I mean? Whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual, there's so many aspects. I feel like the intricacy of life really comes out, especially right now in a time of crisis, or depends on how you're viewing it. But I think, well, for me, it was like a kickstart of recognizing what was the most essential, most important. And again, yeah, encouraging the people in my life to do things that make them feel good. And through that, they're making healthier choices. Right? They're showing up for their people. And I think that's where it becomes a ripple effect beyond the walls of a gym or a studio. You really start to get into the camaraderie side of human nature.
100%. Well put. Now, we know what you've done briefly. Again, you can't really get to know a lot about a person in, 30, 40 minutes. But what are kind of some of your own personal goals? We talked about stage will happen when you're ready. But over the next year, what are kind of some of the things that you want to try to achieve for yourself, whether it be family related or just a goal for yourself?
Family related is always just getting my kids into a solid routine that allows for them to be happy and healthy. So that's my biggest goal, is recognizing what feels right, and then again being unapologetic to sticking to that. And for my business and kind of like that side of things is um, reaching out to people that are in a similar situation or identify with me, just so that you can kind of connect to that humanness and the platform, that it doesn't have to be in person in order to I don't know, support one another. It's
Yep.
more or less, yeah, finding the avenues like these Zoom chats or Skype, FaceTime. It's been the time of technology for sure, and learning that there's a lot to learn. And so the next step for me is recognizing if it's going to be better for me to go back into store as well with Lululemon, or they're providing a lot of opportunities remote. And so
They just
knowing
got the
that,
mirror, didn't they?
yeah, there's there's a lot going on
What?
in the Lululemon community. So just knowing that they're such an advocate for adaptation and for creativity, I'm trying to decide if it makes most sense to kind of create a home office with a little mini gym, so that I can do both, bounce between, but have that kind of space that's tucked away within my own home, so I can be productive and kind of taking away the time of commute and all those other factors. So yeah,
Nice.
it's been
Busy.
interesting. It's been learning a lot more. My store manager at Lululemon always says, in a time like this, in pandemic, there's a lot more questions than there are answers. And to me, I think that's the curiosity of being a little bit, like you said, lemonade-ish.
Yep.
You start to see things differently, and yeah, encouraging the people that you identify and connect with to do the same. It's powerful.
Oh, it is. And it is. And I mean, that is right then and there where, it's, you create community, surround yourself with positive people. Your mindset is basically your lifeline on how you perceive things and handle things. Create a balance, take care of yourself, and don't forget others. If I had to summarize pretty much the key points in this whole thing, and it's been awesome where I've taken up a lot of your time, and I know there's two of you. You know, I didn't. Where are the little ones right now? Are they napping or?
They're up at my whole family lives within a kilometer radius up in Black Mountain, Kelowna.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, my mom's like, go down to your aunt's house so it's quiet. So yeah,
Oh,
I was able to feed the baby. Literally, that's why with you, I was like, I'll be on in 2 minutes.
no
It was
worries. No.
yeah, feed the baby, rush down here, and yeah, find time for me.
That is awesome. Thank you very much for your time. This was awesome.
Thank you,
There's
Nate.
so many other questions I want to ask you, but not yet. We're gonna let you progress your 7 weeks, you know, postpartum. Now we're gonna check in maybe 3-4 months, see where you're at, see what you've been up to, where you've expanded. But thank you very, very much for your time and the workout. I know it was hard as hell to be able to work out, answer questions, not lose your train of thought. And then, you know, you did very, very well. I haven't done one of these before, but I think you set the bar high for the next one that I do. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Nate.